Good morning, guten Morgen, magandang umaga, bonjour. So, we had a couple of warm days. I live on a dirt road, and I went to leave yesterday to go to the grocery store. And one of my neighbors that lives up the road, he had just a four-door sedan, and the mud can get so awful on this road in a couple areas. I'm not sure if it's because there's springs, but the mud can get like 1.5 feet deep. And the town solution the other day was to take these like rocks that were like the size of ice cubes or a little bit larger, and they just dumped truckloads of rock. But the thing is with all the mushy mud, the mud still is 1.5 feet deep, but now you have to worry about those rocks in the mud doing damage underneath your vehicle. But the guy got stuck, which is funny how when someone gets in a jam is when like none of the neighbors were taught, knew one another, but he gets stuck. This guy named Hal comes out, another neighbor got a chain and pulled him out, and they just introduced one another. I don't know if they'll ever talk to each other again, but none of them knew. And it was funny because the guy that got stuck has been living here for, he said, 20 years or something like that. Which surprised me too, because it's like being on this road and knowing what this road is like. He doesn't have an all-wheel drive vehicle. So I'm not sure if that will encourage him to get like an old beater that he can drive on the road. But I don't know why I just shared that story with you. Oh, well, it's something I was not stressed about, but it does concern me living on this road, especially having to go to work tomorrow. And when you're leaving your road, hoping, praying that you're able to make it on and off safely. My CRV is slightly lifted. I actually left today, this morning, and because the road was hard, and I drove like people made like ravines with their tires, but I drove like up on the built up part. I'm not a mudder or four-wheeler or, somebody who craves adrenaline. So I'm on there like, not terrified, but a little bit on like butt clenching. Like, oh, I just want to make it on and off. Anyhow, I watched a video today, and it was about a 60-plus-year-old woman who was getting arrested for not wearing a mask. And I don't know why I watched the video, because I know what those videos are trying to do. They're trying to provoke people to have an emotional being angry about what's going on. And this is a spiritual warfare, Ephesians 6:12. Okay, so when Biden said dark winter, that was a spirit speaking through Biden, telling people that spiritually people's lights were going to go out, that Christ is no longer in them. That being spiritual, that, scripturally it says that the Antichrist is going to be taking his throne. Okay, and in the third temple. People are looking for a physical being, but he's taking throne in their temple already. It's not a carnal physical building. The third temple is other people's bodies, their vessels. Is, you know, they've been messing with people's DNA for a very long time. People would like to say it's this injection, but take a look around you. If you have eyes to see, I don't even know if you need eyes to see. By the way, having eyes to see means that you know truth. It's not just a carnal, literal thing like I have eyes to see different things. Having eyes to see is in a spiritual sense, you know truth. You know truth. It's not of, I see chemtrails, or I see transgender people, you know, or whatever else. It's like, it's not a carnal thing. Again, having eyes to see is, you see the spiritual warfare that's happening. You see the hive mind. You see the Antichrist spirit taking over in other people's temples. So in this video, the woman was being arrested and none of the people were doing anything. And so in the comment section, people were like, what's wrong with those people? How come they're not doing anything? Nobody's saying anything. Because of fear, for one, and the other is people's lights, Christ in them is leaving them. This is spiritual. Do you know how when in his word someone called Jesus good, and Jesus said, why you call me good? The only good is in the Father, because Jesus understood the spiritual aspect. The only good that was in him was the Father. So the only good that's in you or I is the Father. That the only light is in us is Christ. So people who don't have Christ, their lights are going out. This is what's happening. It's called a warfare for a reason. This is the battle that we're witnessing, those of us who truly have eyes to see. So, for those of us who have a better understanding through his Holy Spirit, we don't get angry or we don't try to fight in a carnal way. We understand that these are higher principalities, that you can carnally come up against it all day long and protest and, you know, speak up and do all these things. But if you don't understand that it's the Antichrist spirit in others, they don't even understand it themselves. So it's like, okay, this is spiritual. So you pray for them. You love them. You try to have an understanding. You don't have conflict and physically come up against people. It's like the Lord, you know, the Lord's will is happening. And it's like you plead to our Father for mercy, that he had mercy upon you, that you have the same love and mercy for others when they're being spiritually influenced to go deeper into the darkness, the dark winter. That we were placed here for a purpose. He chose the meek. He chose people who, you know, are overlooked, the peculiar people, the people that he knew was going to have a love and understanding and being able to forgive others no matter what somebody else says or does. That we love them because we have Christ's heart. Because we submitted and we have his Holy Spirit. His Holy Spirit shows us how to love others. It's not always about, you know, acting aggressively and, you know, arguing with other people. I don't know what I would have done if I was there when that woman got arrested. I would have spoken up and said something, but she would have gotten arrested anyways. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that, cower and be in fear and do nothing. Speak up and speak truth and plant seeds, but do it with wisdom. Okay? I hope I planted a good seed. It's gonna get harder. It's gonna get harder. That's why it's up to us to cleave to the Lord and have the Holy Spirit lead us in every step, and stay humble, and again be wise, because the Antichrist spirit, the serpent, is very clever and very wise, and we need to be wiser, but we also need to be as gentle as a dove. Do it with love and understanding. I love you, and God bless.